Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Uncultured Cinematic Universe. This is our unofficial episode 2 of Joe finally figures out how his audio works. Um, Here, we discuss your favorite movies of all time, as well as, of course, the ones that got away. We look at classic and iconic films from two perspectives, that of the diehard fan and that of the uncultured, who's never seen it before until now. We're your hosts, Joe and Justin, here to act as your guides, playing part as both the fellow enthusiasts and the ignorant and uncultured. Today it's time to get married, get pregnant, get divorced, and get to splitting up your twin daughters and keeping all knowledge of this from them. It's the seminal 1998 rom-com, The Parent Trap.
My God. Yeah, like they did so much psychological damage to these kids.
Oh, I have pages of notes for this, but like the big question I want to answer at the end of this is like, as a parent, how realistic is any of this?
Oh, okay.
And
So yeah, I definitely have thoughts on that too. And I have an interesting like parental perspective on that. So yeah, I
well,
love that you wanted to hone in on that.
I definitely want to cover that. I don't have kids, you do, so we'll have like both perspectives there.
Yeah, yeah.
Justin, what were you doing in 1998 that you were too busy to watch this incredible movie?
I was listening to Limp Bizkit, my friend.
Just the summer of Biscuit.
It was the big summer of Biscuit. It was the summer of Biscuit. It was the summer of Backstreet Boys, everybody. You know, it was a big time. TRL was huge. You know, I was in my burgeoning tween years, 1998. You know, I'm 11.
Do you have like a Jinko phase?
I did 100% have a Jinko phase. We couldn't afford, or maybe we could afford, I don't know. But like my mom was like, I refuse to pay $70 or however much Jinkos were. So I wore the off-brand Lee pipes.
the Jink foes.
Yeah, they were from the jean brand Lee jeans. And they did a counter thing called pipes, and it was just like this big wide leg. So much denim, so heavy when it got wet.
You could hide a person up in there.
You could hide two 2-liter bottles of Mountain Dew in each leg.
You just shake it up and then you blast off.
Oh yeah, that's how you get away from bullies really quickly. Yeah, dude, I was 1998. I'm blasting Linkin Park and Korn and Limp Bizkit just all summer, baby. So yeah, this movie was not in my wheelhouse.
Not really on your radar, this rom-com about two small girls getting their parents back together.
In the most asinine, insane way possible.
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to ask you your first impressions and thoughts on this film. But first I want to say this is the second episode of our summer vacation mini series. The vacation, the summer camp portion of this film, I always picture it being a lot longer, but it's really just like the first 10 minutes, and then we jump immediately into rom-com.
Yeah.
You think it's like, looking back on it, you think it's like the first half of the movie, but it's not really. So this is the second episode of the miniseries we're doing this month. We just covered Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I had some thoughts on Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I feel like that lean towards the negative in some cases. And so, Justin,
famously negative.
When I ask you your first impressions on The Parent Trap, I just want to say, like, if you have negative thoughts, keep them to yourself, because no one wants to hear that shit today.
Nope, of course not. In this house, absolutely not. Get this out.
So what'd you think?
Okay, so first we need to round out and dot our lowercase j's and cross our t's, and give big shout out to Wussy Mag in Atlanta, because this was another one of the fantastic Wussy Mag events that they put on at the Plaza Theater in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So already I was excited because I knew from the last time that we went to another Wussy event, which was for Moulin Rouge, the crowd excitement and participation played into the overall experience, which, you know, I think that movie in particular, Moulin Rouge, would have played well if I just watched it by myself in the living room. I don't know if that would have been the case with Parent Trap if I would have watched that, in the comfort of my own home. Being surrounded by super fans, people going
Oh,
crazy when certain characters showed up on screen, the uh, um, the costume contest that preceded it definitely hyped and amped up the energy of the movie.
mhm.
So, taking all of that away and just watching the movie objectively from the first 5 minutes from the get go, it's like, oh boy, here we go. You get a 10-year-old acting her hardest. He's really, really trying and putting on an okay British accent, which it's um, but really playing it for the fences for her debut in feature film. Way to go, Lindsay Lohan, doing your thing. But I knew what I was in for the second the Disney credits rolled around, which I knew in the back of my brain, in my lizard brain, I knew that this was Disney, but I didn't realize it until the movie started.
You don't really think of this as a Disney movie because it's much more like, I'll get into like the credits of it all, but it's directed by Nancy Meyers, who's much more on like the adult rom-com side of things, and so this is very much like a kids movie that essentially bridges into a romantic comedy between two adults. And so that kind of loops in my connection there. Is like, this is really like my opening of the door into the world of romantic comedies. Like,
Sure,
for a lot
yeah.
of people in my generation, like, this is kind of the first taste we get where you think you're going to this like summer camp kind of like hijinks movie, and it becomes a story about the parents for like the
Yeah,
second half of it.
100%. Like I didn't I okay, so my general understanding of the movie is just the base concept that there are these twins and they want to reunite their parents, and that's basically all I knew about the main motivations.
Hmm.
I knew that there was a camp involved, a camp scene or something like that, and I thought it was
Hmm.
going to be a lot more than what it was. And like you said,
Hmm.
it is literally the first 10 minutes and then fucking forget about it. Um, but yeah, that's all I really knew. I knew that like it was a Quaid. I wasn't sure if it was Randy or Dennis or Marshall or however many Quaids there are. They all come in threes.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then as far as everyone else, like I wasn't sure who else was in it. Um, but yeah, that was my base knowledge of this movie. So going to see it, of course, at the Plaza, put on by Wussy Magazine, definitely elevated the experience. I had a good time. Let me just
Yeah,
preface and say I had a good time.
we were surrounded by super fans of The Parent Trap at the Plaza screening, and Justin mentioned that there was a costume contest in the opening. I will say, we did come dressed in costume. We were in matching like old Halloween outfits that I had from a couple years back that basically look like camp counselors. And Justin, I feel like I betrayed you, and I didn't let you like drag us both up onto the stage for the contest because we weren't essentially matching anyone from the movie,
No,
and
and
we
yeah,
would have been booed into humiliation.
yeah,
So I was protecting you.
I know. Thank you, and I realized that after the fact.
Hmm.
Because yeah, some people went crazy, crazy screen accurate. We were just adjacent. We were just dressing up in spirit, which
Yeah.
was fine, But yeah, the winners definitely deserve to win. They were a pair of fencing twins,
Hmm.
which like actual fencing regalia, which was amazing. You
Yeah.
know,
I don't even know where they got that. It looks exactly like the movie with like the helmets and stuff.
what if they actually were fencers? Like that is their pastime.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool because of this movie, right? Like, what if they
Yeah.
grew up and they're like, I'm gonna try fencing.
What if like the one thing you take away of this movie is like, I really want to try fencing? Like, this movie inspired a generation of fencers, essentially.
Yeah, 100%. I can see it. Kids are easily malleable, and that's a pretty cool scene. That's the famous unveiling
Hmm.
of the two girls being in the same fucking summer camp from across the world. They end up at the same place, like one in a million shot. But yeah, crazy.
Yeah, the fencers took the cake. Some of the fan favorite runners up for this costume contest, there were a lot of Merediths hiking in hiking gear with like lizards and sticks.
Smart.
Um, I think we caused like a denim shirt shortage in the city of Atlanta because there were so many Chessies up on stage. And then there was one there was one Martin the Butler in his like cool leather jacket phase where she had the dress and the line of like, if I was seeing my ex after 11 years and I had your legs, I would go in this.
Yeah. It's such a cool scene. That was really, really funny. And that person took second place. So deservedly so, you know.
So good. So good.
So good.
Yeah, so it was really great to see this extremely nostalgic movie while surrounded by people also like just reveling in the nostalgia. Like you said, like every time every major cast member appeared on screen, there was practically a standing ovation. And this movie, you have to think it's unintentional because I don't think this movie like expected to have the cult status that it has. But like this movie, every time a major cast member is shown, there's like a build up to it almost. Like there's it kind of like starts at their feet and kind of like goes up. Like it's they have an entrance in some way because it starts with the twins and then like the parents are in the opening kind of prologue, but you never see their faces. And so you see the parents like halfway through the movie and they each have kind of like an entrance moments where the twins see them for the first time. So you're seeing them through the eyes of the twins. And then you have like the big Meredith reveal as well. Next to the pool.
It is very quintessentially Disney because you can see those kinds of entrances for characters echoed in the Marvel universe when like a superhero appears, like Iron Man. It's the slow pan up from the legs and then like quippy dialogue, and then like pause for cheer. You know, they know what they're doing.
It is fantastic, and like it was so fun to see like which characters got the most cheers in this movie. I think like the two that took the cake were probably Chessie and then Meredith. Yep. Because I think Meredith has just become such an iconic character for this generation to hate, but then eventually, like, especially people my age, to like come around on and relate to as we get into like our mid-20s and early 30s.
Yeah.
Like, who wouldn't want to marry an older Dennis Quaid and live at his extremely nice villa and not have to deal with some bratty kid the entire time?
Yeah, just send them off to boarding school, just like you have a live-in butler nanny, and it's like
hell yes,
that's what
do whatever you can to get that.
Yeah, so I can see how she grows into being this empathetic character, and at the end, these children are bullying the fuck out of this grown woman,
borderline trying to kill her towards the end. Like if she had fallen off that mattress into the lake while she was still sleeping, like who knows?
So okay, I'm just going to go ahead and just get this out of the way because that prank that they pull, while hilarious and cute, oh my God.
Do you think it goes too far?
It goes 100% too far because they do this thing. They push her out in the lake and they go back to sleep.
And it's like, it's not a still lake. Like you can tell that there's like a current happening. She is like drifting. So you only have to imagine she hopefully just like drifted in a circle like all night. But like there are wild animals in the woods and
there are snakes in that water, dude.
Like, it is nighttime. Like good thing she woke up like during the daytime when she could see.
Dude, okay, so listen. These girls are sociopaths because of their deep, they don't even know it yet. And years of therapy in their late teens and early 20s are going to like unearth all of these things, but like they're starting to show signs of just indifference towards humanity. They are going to just fuck with people left and right the rest of their lives, and they are so entitled because they come from money.
See, I have to warn you, like you're going to be making this argument this episode, and I cannot side with you. There's such a level of nostalgia associated with this movie. Like these characters can do no wrong. In mine and so many other people's heads.
Sure, subjectively, I get it. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, but if you looked at this subjectively, they are monsters.
Even though, these people are rich people operating on a level we will never understand. First and foremost,
no.
Like, I want to get into like how wealthy we think these adults are.
God, like it's just barely hinted at. Like, their mom is this insanely popular wedding dress designer, and wedding dress designer,
Yeah,
that's not a uh uh three, four, like five-figure salary.
five
That's
figure.
that's
She's got to be making like seven
millions.
figures
She's
to
easily
live in
making
that
millions.
house.
Yeah, she's not making meager. Yeah, to have a butler and a butler's staff. Granted, her dad, her old grandfather or old dad lives there
It's all
with her,
grandfather money.
but he comes from money too. Just the way he's
He
dressed.
he funds the entire family, and he paid Dennis Quaid to divorce her, so that's the money that Dennis Quaid has. This
Yeah.
all makes sense.
I want the prequel, man. I want to know. I want to have the conversation that they have as soon as the babies are delivered. It's like, which one do you want? I don't know. Flip a coin, and we'll never see each other again. We're gonna sign here or whatever, and just like poof, go our separate
I love
ways.
how I love how they look back so fondly and they're like, "Yes,
What happened?
I threw a hairdryer at you. Casual domestic violence." And then we split up to different corners of the world.
See, these people are monsters, and their kids are gonna pay the price for
But I want to be them.
it. To live in such privilege.
No, this definitely ties into the Nancy Myers effect of it all. So I'll get into that. Let me give you some stats because I think we're gonna have to get to the plot description sooner rather than later, or else people aren't gonna know what we're talking about.
Yep.
So we got your first impressions, my history with the film. Obviously, first Lindsay Lohan movie that I saw because this is her first major film role.
Yep.
One quick note on the Wussy show. We almost had Elaine Hendricks there, who plays Meredith in the movie. I think
close.
She's an Atlanta native, and she was going to be there to, I guess, like help MC the event, and then she was doing kind of like charitable work for a animal foundation that she works with, and so there would have been a connection there. But obviously, there is a bit of a small strike happening, which we support, and so she was unable to appear in a promotional sense. I like to think she was in the back of the room with like a hoodie on, and just like watching everyone's reactions, though,
and just like eating it up, just being like, "Yes, cheer for me, yes. Cheer louder for me."
Hashtag Elaine, come on the podcast. Let me get you some film stats for The Parent Trap. So directed by Nancy Myers, rom-com queen. Stars Dennis Quaid, Natasha Richardson, Elaine Hendricks, Lisa Ann Walters, Simon Coons, and a young unknown talent that I think is named Lindsay Lohan. This movie is based on the 1961 film of the same name with Hayley Mills, which covers a lot of the same plot points.
Sure.
And both of them are actually based on a German book from the 40s called like Lisa and Lottie, I think. Yeah.
Not der Parenten Trappen.
Und Parent Trappen.
Und Parent Trappenzoid. Hilarious. That's great.
This movie was released in June of 1998, classic summer film.
Yeah.
And it made 92 million against a budget of just 15. So what a hit that has still retained some cult status.
Wow. Go Disney for that. That's early
Disney.
Yeah, that's early Disney before they became the giant behemoth. Way to go. That's really cool. Yes. So tell me more about Nancy Myers. I'm sure I know more of her filmography.
So Nancy Myers is kind of talked about hand in hand with another director writer that we've covered. So Nora Ephron, who, if you will remember, wrote When Harry Met Sally, and she directed movies like You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
So both like big names in like big, like fun adult rom-coms in the late 80s and 90s. So Nancy Myers is known for the Father of the Bride movies with Steve Martin, if you've seen those.
Yeah.
She directed Something's Gotta Give, The Holiday, and It's Complicated. So the vibe that you think of when you think of Nancy Myers, she's influenced by earlier screwball comedies of like the 30s and 40s, from what I've read. So you've got like funny mix-ups. You have like relationships being played out professionally and personally. Kind of light. She's not really directing like heavy dramas or anything like that. And a lot of her movies actually tend to focus on more middle-aged women facing again, like personal and professional conflicts. She kind of shines more of a light on the female side of things than the male.
Sure.
And then her movies are also known to have like a very specific look. She tends to deal with like very affluent people, and so a lot of her sets are really famed for being just like something you want to just like sink your teeth into. So like for example, like the British townhouse that the mom lives in this movie, The Parent Trap, like you look into it and it's just gorgeously decorated on the inside.
Yeah.
And then you have this like California vineyard villa on the other end of the thing. Nancy Meyers is famous for like these expansive and beautiful kitchen scenes and like just sets and locations that you just want to live in and wrap up on a couch with a good book.
Yeah. It's kind of like Better Homes and Gardens on screen. Yeah.
These are the Better Homes and Gardens that they're talking about.
Way better than your home and or garden.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I love it. Cool. Nancy Meyers, way to go.
So that is Nancy Meyers. Why don't we jump into the trailer and then the plot description, and then we can talk about how insane this movie actually is.
Yes. Thank you. All right, here we go. Queuing it up. 3, 2, 1.
Why the sudden curiosity about your dad, huh?
Mother, you can't avoid the subject forever. At least tell me what he was like. I want to talk to you about my mother.
Well, what about your mother?
Dad, I'm almost 12. How long do you expect me to buy that story that the stork dropped me on your doorstep?
Everyone in the world believes they're unique in their own way. Annie James and Hallie Parker are about to discover.
This is so freaky.
They're both unique in the same way.
That's my mom. That's my dad. And you and I are like sisters. Hallie, we're like twins. I have a brilliant idea. I think we should switch places. I'll go back to London as you, and you go back to California as me. If we switch, they'll have to unswitch us. And when they do, they'll have to meet again, face to face. Honey, you never looked better.
Welcome home, kiddo.
Dad. Finally.
Now, two sisters
You're back. Mother.
are setting the perfect trap
It seems like it's been forever.
I have no idea.
to bring their parents back together.
This is an emergency. Dad's in love. What?
Wear your shirt like this. I like it when I can see a little chest hair.
It's disgusting. If there's any hope of getting Mom and Dad back together, we've got to do it fast.
I am marrying your father in 2 weeks, and nothing you do is going to come between us.
Hi, Mare.
Hello.
How you doing?
Both of them?
From the makers of Father of the Bride,
Does everyone here know something I don't know?
Yes.
Dennis Quaid, Natasha Richardson, and introducing Lindsay Lohan.
Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. Mom's amazing. Don't know how you ever let her go. I wish I may. I wish I might. Have my wish come true tonight.
Disney's The Parent Trap.
Amazing.
I don't know what that Starlight shit was. That's definitely not in the movie.
Yeah, that was a bonus scene. That's hilarious. Yeah. What a trailer. Classic old Disney, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just
Let's
feel good vibes.
Okay. Justin, just right off of that, can you give me a plot description for The Parent Trap?
Yeah, dude, I can totally do it. I'm so ready.
Okay. Let me get this timer set up. Okay. The Parent Trap, a surprisingly complex story in 1 minute by Justin Jackson. And here we go.
The Parent Trap stars two twin girls, Hallie and Annie, and they show up at a summer camp unbeknownst to each other. They run into each other, and everyone else is like, this is weird. But then they figure out that they both have been separated since birth, which, you know, they're not even really questioning that. Like, hey, that's pretty fucked up. So they're like, hey, we need to switch places so we can get Mom and Dad back together. And she's like, but I live in London. And she's like, but I live in wherever the fuck, California, probably. So we need to train each other on how to be each other. So they switch places, and then they somehow get found out, and then they got to come back together, and then they trap their parents to fall in love. But oh no, there's Meredith there who's gonna sugar daddy her way into the family by taking the dad away, and she's like really, really too young for him. It's like it's a problem. But then they shame her, and their parents fall back in love, and they get remarried, and everything's fine. That's The Parent Trap. I did it.
That was that was pretty much everything. Let's just jump right into it.
Yeah.
So I imagine any issues you have with this perfect movie is the implications of it all. So there's so much that is unsaid in this movie. Specifically, like, do they not have friends when they come back home? How is it that you can split up children and never tell them about it?
That's the sticky one. That's the really sticky one.
Why would you choose to trick your parents into getting back together instead of just telling them that I met my twin on vacation?
Yeah, and they go, uh-oh. Yeah, instead of being like, you little scamps, they'd be like, oh, shit. Yeah, like that's more of the realistic reaction. I'm just like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, like this is going to be like very psychologically damaging.
Oh, there's a much darker version of this story that could be told. You know what my answer to it all, though, is that The Parent Trap, which we all know so much about now, is a romantic comedy told through the perspective of children. So it's kind of like Sleepless in Seattle in that way. And so it can therefore take advantage of children logic. And so these things that are zany obviously would not make sense for someone to do at our age because we are full grown adults. But it makes sense for the kids to want to like do some hijinks and get their parents back together and destroy a young woman's life in the process.
I thought you were going to say, so like, because it is from the perspective of the kids, they're seeing it through the rose-colored lenses of like, it's just innocent. I need to get mom and dad back together. But you take that off and it's just like, oh shit, like there's so many wheels and gears to this whole machine, and like
there's
lawyers.
There's insane implications here that are kind of glossed over for a few reasons. Like, number one, both the parents are hot as hell and are clearly into each other.
Yep.
Check.
Done.
Number two, they're both rich as hell. So like traveling back and forth, figuring all this out. Nothing.
No big deal. No big deal.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
They are the richest people in the world. They're in top 5. It's them and Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I had a number 3, but that's all that really matters in this movie. And so you can see how, if you're writing this movie as a romantic comedy and you are Nancy Meyers and her writing partner, who she's maybe married to, who she always writes with, you can see how they're like, okay, we're going to ignore certain parts of this story, lean a little bit more into the unrealistic side of things in order to have these emotional payoffs. Yeah. And so there is an emotional climax every fucking like 10 minutes in this movie. You have like the girls finally coming face to face, finally realizing that they're twins. Each one finally meeting the other parent, right? And then you have people slowly figuring out that they switched, and like there's like joy and craziness there as well. There's so many funny tweets about this movie, but the one that I always come back to is like someone's watching Parent Trap and they get to the point where the kids are talking about their birthdays and how they both like Oreos, and they're like, you're turning 12 on October 11th, me too. And someone in the audience is just like, you have the same fucking face.
I had the same thought too. Like, they're playing it so just like mystery rabble. It's like any logical real person would be like, you look exactly like me. My parents have some splaining to do.
What are these camp counselors thinking?
Yeah, they're just like, that's weird. Yeah.
Janice from Friends is just like, huh.
Anyway. Anyway, back to work, taking care of these kids. That's
fun.
That's the ridiculous part of it, of just like the other adults not being like, either like, uh-oh, this is a big problem that they've now stumbled upon our cockamamie scheme, or two, like, how did we not recognize immediately that these are twins and they don't know each other? Should we alert like DFACS or something? Should we get the government involved in some way, because some fuckery is afoot?
Yeah, the economics here is kind of like the key to this movie even like beginning to make sense, because if the two families were even like slightly off balance in terms of like the money coming into the household, it would be a very different and slightly darker story.
It definitely would be. And to put a pin on the last, or just a period on the last thought about the camp counselors and everyone else there, you know that both of the families paid a hefty amount of hush money. I mean, like, don't you say a fucking word. Hallie and Annie were never here. Okay? You forget their faces. And it's not that hard because they have the same face. So it's just one face to forget.
They have connections with the government.
Yeah, they're like, please, we know that this is like very tricky hot water, but we can make it worth your while. Say a number. 5 million? 6 million? 7 million?
I've got it all.
I got it all.
Grandpa writes all the checks.
In pounds, yeah. This movie is ridiculous. But yeah, so I love that you brought up the emotional payoffs, and there are so many. There are a lot. Even though the very first one of like, we're sisters. No, we're like twins. It's just like, okay, that's ridiculous, but it's still cute. Admittedly, the one that got me, and it's only because I'm a dad, is who's the British one? Fanny. No, Hallie.
Annie
and Fanny. The British one, finally coming to meet the dad for the first time. I was emotionally keyed up. Because I'm like, oh my God, I'm a dad. This hurts in a lot of ways, because I understand the undertones of what's happening right here too, but also just like, oh my God, that's amazing. The mom one is less so for me, but I still get that it's kind of at the same, it's supposed to be played at the same level. But yeah,
I love that the mom is so great, and they clearly have like such a great home life that I mean, both home lives are wonderful to like a fantastical degree. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But like, you can clearly see how like you definitely get the more masculine side of things on the dad's side, and then the more feminine side of things on the mom's side. Like each twin kind of gets what they're missing in a way, in that way. And like, I love the kind of the montages that happen, like the Hallie in disguise as Annie going out and like shopping with her mom. They go to a wedding shoot where she uses a top hat to lift a veil on a bride, and like, everyone in the 90s was like height of fashion.
Genius. Like that look is so hideous. And the photo shoot, the shots that they got are so bad. Like, those are bad angles, shots, poses. Hilarious though. It's played for laughs, even though it's supposed to be played to kids, and like, this is couture, you know.
Again, it's the 90s. This is like practically a nuclear family unit, and I think they heighten that purposefully. Like, they're almost like perfect mom and perfect dad, other than the heinous crime that they committed when these kids were born.
The insane dark crime that they did. Like, is this a crime? That is a crime. That has to be a crime. I don't know what it's called, but it is a crime.
We're gonna get into it. I promise you. So like, you have this like these practically angelic parents who love their kids so much, which makes it all the funnier when you see like variations of that, like when the mom realizes she's going to meet the dad again for the first time in over a decade, and she gets kind of drunk on the plane ride over and starts like smoking, and then the dad falls into a pool. He's obviously too much of like a horny himbo to really know what's going on, and so he is the one that has the interloper on this family in the form of Meredith. And so Meredith I like that one of the biggest ovations that happened during the screening was her revealing that she's only 26 years old, which is insane to think about.
Yeah, which is not much younger than you, Joe, but
yeah,
Dennis Quaid at this time, or Randy, I don't know,
Dennis.
Randy Quaid is from Independence Day. You're right.
He's probably he's
pushing
45. Oh,
That's...
no, I think he's over 40 in this.
Yeah, it's that's bad. That's a big gap.
One of the best scenes in the movie is Dennis Quaid trying to tell Annie that he's marrying Meredith, and she gets so excited, and you realize that she thinks he's trying to adopt her.
Like, yes, everyone was thinking that.
I always wanted a big sister.
And he's like, oh, fuck. No, sweetie, that is not, this looks bad, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's definitely some, again, like, it is a movie full of iconic moments and emotional payoff, and maybe it sacrifices a little bit of realism in a way, but you have to think of this as like a 90s movie directed at children in a Disney sense, and so realism's maybe not what they're shooting for. And so you have a generation of kids who watched this in the late 90s who don't really remember the unrealistic aspects of this story, but definitely do remember stuff like the scene where Chessie finds out that Hallie is actually Annie in disguise, and starts crying basically about like how she's watched her grown up, and now she finally gets to meet the other twin, and then she's gonna just go whip up everything in the kitchen.
So funny. It's great. That was a great scene. Let's circle back around to Chessie.
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck is Chessie? Like
what is like who?
What
is
her
she
role?
in this
What is
story?
her role? Like they never explicitly say like she's the nanny, or she was like my best friend growing up, or she's like my on again off again lover, or it's
an oft debated thing about this movie. Is like who is this incredible lesbian coded woman who is falling in love with this absolutely gay coded man. Chessie is officially, I believe, described as Dennis Quaid's housekeeper and Lindsay Lohan's nanny. So she's just kind of like been around as like kind of a substitute motherly presence. And you can tell like, yeah, she works for Dennis Quaid, but they're like buddies in a sense. Like there's not really any like romantic tension between them, but she's also like, she'll give him shit, she's been around. She runs this house better than anyone, and so it's so funny when Meredith comes in and starts like treating her like the help with her little bell. Lisa Ann and Walter, the actress who plays Chessie, can give like the greatest like eyebrow up looks towards the camera. Have you seen the other big thing that she's in these days? Have you seen Abbott Elementary?
No.
She's on that show. She's one of the teachers, and she's so fantastic in it.
She's great in this role. She's hilarious, and she brings some grounding reality, much needed throughout the movie. But it was just like, who the hell? Like, what is her purpose? What is her role? They never explicitly say. And also, like, what is Chessie short for? Like, I've never met a Chessie ever.
The tweet that I sent you before this episode, where it was like, in the 90s, Lisa and Walter came out and said, "My name is Chessie," and we were all like, okay.
100%, just like, what the fuck is this name? I was like, are they trying to say Jessie?
Chessie.
And it's Chessie. Like, it's someone. It's like the substitute teacher comes in and reads your name off, and it's like, all right, Chessie Walters. It's actually Jesse. Thank you, Chessie, and then just like fucks off the rest of the time.
It's stuck.
Ridiculous name. Hilarious.
Chester.
Chesterica. Yeah, who knows? But she was a delight. She was fun. But yeah, just like, yeah, I can totally see the queer codedness on both of the same kind of mirrored characters.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, like, what are you doing here?
Like Dennis Quaid's housekeeper Natasha Richardson's butler, both gay as hell, both trapped in a marriage with each other because it's the 90s and they have to end up with together.
This is how it goes.
But they both seem to be friends, so that's great. Yeah, so I just getting back to like overall like themes and what place this movie has in my lineup of movies that I love.
Yeah.
So it really is the bridge into the world of rom-coms, almost like explicitly within the story, because you obviously start off with like a heavyweight style, practically summer camp sequence where these girls are pranking each other. They hate each other. You have the photo coming together moment, and then they become best friends, sisters even.
But then you have that really questionable prank of having the skinny dip. And
it was the 90s.
It was the 90s. So that didn't play well.
Yeah. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
They gamble at poker, and the one who loses has to go strip in the lake, and they do. Summer camp, bud.
Summer camp. Like you don't know if you don't know. Also, both of those hands that they play, statistically impossible.
Insane. They show up, they're running a poker table. The first hands that they get, one of them gets a straight in diamonds, the other gets
a royal. Like the chances of that happening are also one like in several billion. The chances that they're going to end up at the same summer camp.
It's the theme for this entire fucking movie. You get the payoff of like, oh my God, she got a royal flush. Forget the realism of it. Justin, just like take the moment.
That was when I knew. I was like, I got to forget everything I think I know about this movie, because the directors and the writers obviously don't care for realism at this point.
Exists in an alternate dimension. But yeah, so you have it is a kids movie that the parents ultimately share with them in the middle half of it, and then kind of take over for the second half. You get more and more scenes of the parents like one-on-one having conversations just about like why their relationship ended and like what they can do with these kids going forward and whether or not they can see themselves being together for these kids.
That's my main issue with it, of just like, well, I don't know, because they're looking back at it and it's just like so innocently. It's just like, well, you got to understand, we were young, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and they're not seeing it for what it was. There had to have been so much,
I know,
dark bullshit going on to be like, you know what, enough. As soon as I pop these two twins out, you take one, I'll take the other one. I don't give a fuck. And let's just never see each other again. I also just so I just had a reminder, or not even a reminder, just another thought popped into my head. They also had to, the mom and the dad also had to pay off the rest of the kids who were at the summer camp at the same time, because there has to be one kid in the back of the bunk going like, something doesn't add up here. Like they didn't know they were twins. Like, I'm going to talk to my lawyer dad about this and ask some questions, So like they had to have spent so much money.
There were lots of envelopes filled with cash just flying across the ocean that summer.
Yeah, lots of cash filled handshakes. Hilarious. Love it.
Susie, what the hell happened at that camp?
I'm not at liberty to say, Dad. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I do not want to breach my contract.
I signed my first NDA.
Yeah. It's like threat of death.
No, you're right. If there was any concrete reason that the parents originally broke up, like infidelity or like he's got a drinking problem, she can't stop shopping,
he can't get it up,
Yeah, he can't get it up. Like these, the way that they explicitly say it in the movie is like, it's a little bit vague. I can't really remember why we broke up. I left and you didn't follow me, which got like gasps from the audience.
I didn't know I was supposed to,
They're both like in this wine cellar lit by Annie Leibovitz. Like it's incredible. I love it so much. Yeah. And like one of the benefits of having like clear affluence in this movie is like you can picture a future where like maybe they are well off and they don't really have any problems. Like they're not really going to deal with too many things because they're both extremely successful in their fields, even after just like 11 years, which is not a long time.
No, really not. No.
So like as long as they have that money, like hell yeah, let's get back together. We're both two hotties. We got these girls who want to be friends with each other. We're on the run from the law because we split up these kids against the judge's wishes.
Yeah.
So this will help our cover story.
There was 100% a conversation of like, how much are you worth? So how much are you worth? And then it's like together we could be exponentially worth much more.
So two people turned on by money.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. They definitely have a Scrooge McDuck style like fuck pool.
And Meredith is the only one who's talking about it,
Yeah, she's the reasonable one. Yeah.
Yeah. Like at least she's being honest about what she wants and how she's going to get it. She is a go-getter. I want Meredith on my team if I want to like keep money in my bank. She would not let Dennis Quaid like make poor financial decisions if they were married.
Yeah, she's like, oh, sorry, I want to marry into a rich family. I'm not the one who has to pay all this hush money. And
his portfolio would be multiplied 10 times in 5 years.
Yeah, I'm the smart one here. I'm the hero. Yet you throw lizards at me and fill my backpack full of rocks and leave me to drown in the middle of this fucking lake. And then we never see from her or hear from her again.
Just I'd hate those kids so much. Yeah, I would be so glad to be rid of them. Obviously The Parent Trap is kind of the star-making vehicle for a young Miss Lindsay Lohan, for better or for worse in her case. What are your thoughts on her performance? We talked kind of a little bit about like the bit of a hokey bit of accent work, but how do you think she does in terms of like holding the story of this movie?
She does the absolute most. And that is one of my big questions to this, but I'll get to that in a second. So she holds and propels the story forward. Obviously, she has to because she's playing two fucking roles, which moves the plot point along. And she is providing the most, to the story and to connect with the audience and all that kind of stuff. And she does a really great job. She tries her best and she does it. But I want to know, did she get compensated fairly for playing two roles and getting so much screen time?
Knowing Hollywood, probably not.
Probably not.
Not.
And that sucks because like this is her first role, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll take the role. I'll do this movie. I'll play two roles, of course. Can you do a British accent?"
Launch me.
Nope. Yeah, and that's fine. I'll figure it out. Just let me watch Doctor Who a couple times. I'll figure it out.
I think her British accent is fine.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, I gotta be the Henry VIII in 5 minutes. Hello. Got it. All right. She did pretty good.
I'll give you a bit of a behind the scenes moment here. So people definitely thought there were two actresses playing these twins because
she did that good.
Yeah. So she does very well playing off of each other, and you can tell there's certain moments where they use body doubles, and there's certain like clear moments these days where they're clearly using like green screen, or they're like almost like pushing her face onto someone else's. I know there were a couple scenes where I was like, wow, is that what they're actually doing here? That shit looked airtight in the 90s and early 2000s. It stands out a little bit now just because like we know what they're doing. Incredible 2023 green screens look like. But like for a while, the whole thing with The Parent Trap is like, how the fuck do they do that? Right.
Yeah.
Because they have them like hugging. They're in the same scenes all the time. They're interacting with each other. They're walking all over the place.
Yeah. A lot of those scenes you can tell like it's just clever blocking with a stand-in actor. And yeah, doing like the split screen thing where they're kind of just like sharing the same space and they just do retakes. I didn't notice any glaring CGI bits.
No, it's not bad.
But yeah, so like, yeah, they could have done the Winklevoss approach. that we saw in Social Network where they.
Oh my God! This is the second set of twins we've talked about.
Oh my God!
Played by the same actor,
right? And also, who were those people who thought like, are they two different girls playing in one? Did they not watch the fucking movie? In the opening credits that said "Introducing Lindsay Lohan."
People don't watch credits.
Pay attention, folks. Like, what's wrong with you?
Lindsay Lohan was not a name at all before this, and so it could be two girls named Lindsay and Lohan. Who knows?
That's amazing. And they look the same. They're twins. Like, that's hilarious.
I'll give you a note on the casting here. So before Lohan was cast, there were a few young starlets of the time who were considered as well. So you had Scarlett Johansson, Mara Wilson from Mrs. Doubtfire and Matilda.
Yeah.
Michelle Trachtenberg and Jenna Malone. I think Jenna Malone actually got the closest there. She, I believe, turned down the role a few times before they landed on Lohan.
Turned down the role. The role of a lifetime. Wow.
She was like, too much green screen.
Yeah. Like, I can't work in this. I need practical effects.
I think Lohan's the choice of those, though. I think she's got like a spunk. There's a character I think of when I think of her in this movie, and it's Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. Kind of like that. She's a little schemer with a heart of gold.
Sure.
Though. You know, she's got like the charisma to carry essentially like the first half of this movie by herself before the parents are even introduced.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why they cast her, because she is charismatic, you know, really trying her hardest on screen. You know, for her first movie ever, she's really going over the top. She went for it and it paid off. So you know, good on her. And it
launches her on a career that's maybe not the most healthy one, but like I think she's doing maybe better these days. So we're happy for Lindsay.
I hope so, you know. So my first introduction to Lindsay Lohan was in her Mean Girls. That was the first movie that I saw with her in it. But I'd seen trailers for this movie and knew that it was a thing. And I'd seen trailers and snippets and stuff for Freaky Friday. Which, you know, someone saw the movie and she says the line, "This is freaky," and someone was like, "Freaky Friday, we're gonna redo it," and it's her. And then, you know, from there she is firmly in the Hollywood upper echelon, right?
Upper echelon.
You know, she does Herbie, Fully Loaded. I got the whole list right here because I'm trying to get to one movie that I really specifically remember because it sounds so similar. She does all these movies, Prairie Home Companion, and then in 2007, she does this other movie called I Know Who Killed Me. Joe, did you see that one?
No, I know it's kind of infamous for kind of not being great.
It wasn't great, but she was like, I'm going to play an adult role, and she like, there's like
it's gonna be edgy.
It's edgy. There's a sex scene, and like, I'm an adult now, but she plays two roles again in that movie. It's ridiculous. Pretty wild.
That.
Yeah. How about that?
Wow. Have you seen Freaky Friday? You said?
I haven't seen Freaky Friday.
Oh fuck, Justin, we may have to cover that one.
Is that also a Disney redo?
Yeah.
So she was just like in the wheelhouse of Disney.
She was their go-to girl for a while there. Yeah. And then she moved into the incredibly toxic pop teen star period of the mid 2000s, and so that's a washing machine that'll spit you out the wrong way every time.
She got in with Ashton Kutcher and just a bad group of guys.
Kutcher, yeah.
The Cooch, man, he'll get you.
Let's have a little cocktail moment. What are you drinking these days?
I'm so excited. Check this out. I'm sure you've noticed, Joe, I go and take a drink of one thing, and then what do? I reach over and I take a drink of another thing. I knew it. I got two drinks here.
I almost did this.
They're essentially the same thing, sort of, but they were raised in different households, you know. Together, these are called Orange You Glad We're Not Sociopaths. So over here, I got an American classic. This is a screwdriver. This is orange juice and vodka. But over here, this is a little more refined. This is an orange mint gin fizz. So muddled orange and mint, simple syrup gin, and topped with seltzer. So
Okay.
they're both made with the same ingredients. They look similar, not quite identical, which isn't quite there, but they were raised in different places.
One of them has class and the other doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Class, yes.
I have class and you don't. I definitely tried to go the twin approach. I was trying to think of like British drinks mixed in with like American drinks. There's definitely like a culture clash happening here. I ended up being inspired by a moment in the film where I guess it's Annie, the character of Annie disguised as Hallie, kind of having like a get real moment with Meredith. Like they both kind of have a bit of a face off, and they do a little girl talk because she's like, Meredith is like, I'm marrying your fucking dad and you're gonna go off to Switzerland whether you like it or not. And Annie asked her if she wants the 411, right? So that was kind of very much like a 90s term of like, do you want to know all the information here, essentially? Because you would, I believe, call 411 to get information. Is that
you
correct?
100%?
Okay,
that is correct.
So she explains to her what the 411 is. So my drink that I have already finished here, it's not an issue. I don't have a problem. I'm calling the 411. So there's a couple things. There's 3 things at play here. So 4 parts ginger ale, ginger, redhead, Lindsay Lohan. 1 part London dry gin, bringing in kind of the England of it all.
Yeah.
1 part red wine, because
the
dad owns a vineyard. I will throw in a caveat here. I didn't have a red wine to open in this case, and so I am saying that a red juice will do. And so I did use cranberry juice.
It is a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used cranberry juice. It tasted pretty nice, served over crushed ice. But
okay,
the true drink here should use red wine.
I'm trying to imagine what that would taste like, and I bet it would
taste great.
I bet it would taste interesting. Ginger beer, ginger ale, dry gin, and London dry gin specifically, and red wine. Woo boy, that's wild.
It's a zany combination to fit a zany movie.
It is incredibly zany. You're right. I came across, Joe, and I wanted to know if you knew anything about this. So I was looking up names. I was trying to remember who is who and like what the fuck are their names? Are the Annie and Fanny, whatever? And I looked it up, and I just saw a flash on the screen on Google. Apparently, there was a film franchise from the earlier movies. There was like sequels, like Parent Trap 2, Parent Trap 3. Like what?
I want to say that. So the Hayley Mills character. Do you know who Hayley Mills is? Like she played the original twins here. She was kind of like the Lindsay Lohan of the 60s, essentially. She was Disney's girl in a lot of their movies. There are Parent Trap sequels. I did kind of a Wikipedia deep dive a long time ago on this, completely unrelated. I think they eventually end up following one of the twins grown up, and that she has her own twins, and they do kind of like a Parent Trap or a reverse Parent Trap with her. And so it's like it's generational. It's not like doing the same story again and again, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it's one of the twins also has a set of twins, but those twins live together, and we need to split mom and dad up. This is a toxic household. How do we get mom and dad to break up?
It's like a harrowing divorce story where they have to choose who goes with who.
Oh, God. Could you imagine? I would love that. Yeah. What a cool movie to watch.
Insane. Disney knew they had something with this one, and so it explains a reboot that works. Who doesn't love a reboot?
Yeah.
Some other iconic moments I have, and then I want to get your final thoughts on this one. Yo, tie-dye girl. We saw a lot of people in the costume contest dressed in tie-dye.
And I didn't get it for a character that has 2 minutes of play, but she is
just
a gay icon.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Tie-dye girl. We love a girl who can like manage her own strength and get her bag from the bottom of the pile. Yeah. The torn picture coming together, like the imagery of this movie, that's kind of the big one. The Marva Jr. hand twist when she points to the isolation cabin. For some reason, we did that so many times growing up. She does this like quadruple thing here, and then like does that sarcastically when she's like banishing them after they have pranked each other to death. It's so funny. The wedding photo shoot with the top hat. That I will give you is an insane bit of cinema.
Wild.
I think the emotional high point of this film is Chessie finding out that Hallie is Annie. Yep. I think that is a genuinely like good scene, and not just for like a kids movie.
Yep.
Like agreed. That is like a genuinely good scene in a romantic comedy style movie.
Yep.
And the acting is fantastic and funny. And also like really emotional,
really heartfelt. Yep.
Meredith telling her her little bitchy assistant that she's going to ship the brat off to Switzerland, and her calling her an ice queen. Incredible.
That got big cheers. That got real big cheers.
Who wouldn't want this? And yeah, Annie telling Meredith the 411, and then they talk about like sex in a Disney movie. She's like, yeah, everything's not always about sex. And then Meredith's like, being young and beautiful isn't a crime, you
know. She's humble, you know, and you love to see it.
So good. And then like obviously the lizard scene when they're camping is something that always comes up when this movie comes up. Insane pranks. Obviously, like you were saying, like, did they go a little bit too far with the camping of it all? Dennis Quaid clearly didn't think so, because he chooses them at the end.
Which, I mean, like, that is the right answer, but also to be like, oh my God, girls, you guys are sick. Me and your mother really fucked up. You guys are showing harsh.
We're coming back together, but it's because one of us alone can't afford the doctor bills it's going to take to get you guys well again.
That's right. Or to the amount, again, the hush money that needs to go out to so many individuals is in the hundreds of millions. It's insane. But yeah, so I want to know, how did any lawyer, doctor, friend, literally anybody not get involved to be like, hey guys, you know what? This isn't a really great idea. You are going to scar these children for life.
I think these people live in a rich bubble and they don't think about these things.
Because like you go to, okay, so when you have a newborn child, you go to the doctor a lot. You have to go a lot in the first several months of their life. Like there's going to be
probably more if you have twins.
Yeah, because they're smaller. You know, when they're born, they're not the full grown, so there could be medical issues or whatever. But like medical records exist of like, oh, I see that, you know, Hallie here has a twin. It's like, nope, you saw nothing. It is redacted. You know, they paid big money to have that redacted on both sides of the world. Like insane.
This has the Home Alone issue where like none of this could be possible if the internet and cell phones existed. this whole movie would fall apart immediately.
Yeah, the face recognition software would be a big hilarious trope. Amazing. Yeah, the zero contact for 12 years is so just like sick.
It's bizarre.
It's sick that they were able to go along with this charade for so goddamn long. Yeah, they were allowed to, like, ridiculous. These are my final thoughts, by the way. It's aside from being just like a hilarious romantic comedy romp with you know the two girls trying to just innocently bring their family together, just the oh my God, the amount of damage psychologically and just politically is insane.
I will give you that. Yeah, it is an insane thing to do, and that does kind of lead me into my game for this episode. Should we just jump right in?
We should just jump right in. Those are my closing arguments of just like, as a parent, how do you do that? But I'm not rich. I don't understand.
I think it's fair. I think I see this movie through nostalgia-covered glasses, and you're giving me a dose of realism that maybe I need here.
I know.
I'm not going to take it, but I'm glad you have it.
That's fine, because you were paid off by the parents. They paid off all the fans.
I've got that James Parker money.
All right. Here we go. Let's get into the game. This one was fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet. Get ready for Should They Go to Jail? That's right. Now give it up for your host, Joe Murphy.
Welcome back, everybody.
Thank you, Justin. Welcome back, everyone, to everyone's favorite game show. Should they
go to jail?
We all know that there are certain characters in cinema, often the protagonists of movies, who do insane things in the name of love or comedy or adventure. And in their worlds, a lot of the times they pull it off and everyone lives happily ever after. Or do they? In this game show, we're going to talk through some examples of characters doing ultimately insane and borderline illegal things. And I'm going to ask Justin the question of the day. Should they go to jail? So let me tell you how this is going to work. I'm going to give you a description of a character from a movie. You tell me which character they are and what movie they are in based on the crimes that I am describing. You got it?
Yeah.
And then as a bonus,
should they go to jail?
You tell me if you think they should go to jail for their crimes.
Amazing.
So, for example, if I say, we are two successful hotties who got divorced right after having twins and bizarrely decided to take one twin each and never mention to them that they have a sibling. Should we go to jail? You would say.
So you're describing the mother and father, Dennis Quaid and Meredith Grey,
yes,
from The Parent Trap, and 100% yes, they should go to jail because what they did is dark and disturbing.
You got it. Okay, so I have 10 characters for you.
Yes.
Let's see if you can guess them all, and then pass judgment, as is your right.
Yes.
Here we go. Number 1. I am a recently divorced dad who can't hold a job, who tricked my entire family into thinking I was an entirely different person just so that I could, quote unquote, spend more time with my kids. Should I go to jail?
Okay, so you're describing Robin Williams in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Correct.
And yes. Well, okay. Should I go to jail for impersonating something? Oh, yeah. You should go to jail for that. That's fucked up.
I would accept jail here. I would also accept like a hefty fine just for
fine.
Legal fees and like breaking the terms of their divorce. It's more just within the family here, so I think it's okay. Okay, good. Number 2, I am a musician lying about being a middle school teacher while teaching an actual room full of kids. Should I go to jail?
Okay, so that is Jack Black in School of Rock.
Correct.
Posing as a real teacher, teaching kids. I feel like at least that's a crime. I don't think it's a full-on misdemeanor, though. I don't think jail.
I would absolutely say jail in this case. I think that's an actual crime. What if you found out your kid's teacher was like not who he said he was?
Dude, you know what? In Florida these days, they're just hiring like whoever can come teach. So like that movie would not be hilarious these days because it'd be too real.
He did ultimately bring the kids out of their shells and introduce them to a world of great music. So
yeah, so
I see where you're coming from. Yes, Jack Black in School of Rock. Okay, so number 3.
Yep.
I am the head teacher at a school where at least one student has died and several others are put into life-threatening peril on a yearly basis. Should I go to jail?
So you're either Richard Harris or Michael Gambon as Albus Dumbledore in any of the Harry Potter films.
I'm looking for the character, so yeah, Albus Dumbledore.
Yeah. I'm going for bonus points, too, with the actor. Yeah, Dumbledore should definitely go to jail because there are kids that are just disappearing, dying.
Doesn't he go to jail in the second one for a little bit? Like they take him away?
He goes to wizard jail and he like, so like it's like a vacation, you know?
Yeah, that's like the Wolf of Wall Street jail that has tennis courts.
That's right. Fuck you, J.K. Rowling. Yeah.
Very good. You are 3 for 3. Okay, number 4. I cooked food at a restaurant that I do not work at and served it to a large group of people, knowing full well that it could be contaminated with a wide range of diseases. Should I go to jail? These are going to get progressively harder.
Okay, so it's Patton Oswalt as Remy the Rat in Ratatouille.
Correct.
You don't send rodents to jail. You can't.
You just kill them.
You can't. You just fucking kill them. So I guess that's a prison of its own.
Yeah, endless nothing of death.
Yeah.
Very good. Number 5. I illegally copied and distributed a famous book before it was published without the knowledge of the author. Should I go to jail?
Illegally published a book without the knowledge of the author.
No. Illegally copied and distributed a famous book before it was published.
Copied a book. The only thing that's coming to mind is
I can give a hint if you want.
Give me a hint. Give me a hint.
This is a movie that we have covered.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. It was Devil Wears Prada.
Yes.
It's God, what is her name in that movie? Anne Hathaway's character.
Her name's Andy Sachs.
Andy. Yeah, that's right.
Andrea.
Again, gets the Harry Potter connection. Yeah, that seems like jail. Jail.
Right.
Yeah.
She'd go to jail she was eventually going to go to jail for Meryl Streep anyway. Like that job could not last.
No.
All right. Strike one. Number 6. I funded a team that conducted some extremely morally questionable experiments on an island without any governmental oversight that resulted in multiple deaths. Should I go to jail?
Okay, yeah. So Mr. Hammond from Jurassic Park.
Correct.
Definitely has blood on his hands and is 100% going to jail.
He should be eaten by a dinosaur, yeah.
Yeah, dinosaur jail.
I think he gets off scot-free. Like, he's in the second one just, like, living in his mansion. Okay. Very good.
But dying, I think. I think he's dying.
He's dealing with the guilt, yeah. Number 7. This one's a tricky one. I was the leader of my friend group until a new guy showed up who everyone thought was cooler and more fun than me, and in a fit of jealousy, I tried to have him killed. Should I go to jail?
Fit of jealousy? Tried to have him killed?
Mm-hmm.
The leader, and someone else came in. I'm going to need a hint, Joe. I'm going to need a hint.
This is an animated movie.
Animated movie. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's so you're talking about Tom Hanks's Woody from Toy Story 2. Or Toy Story, just Toy Story. Trying to have Buzz Lightyear murdered.
Yes. These toys. Should Woody go to jail?
Woody should go to, and I guess jail would be like Sid's house, and which he does. I think he pays for his crimes. He pays for his crimes.
He has a bit of a redemption arc in that movie, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, number 8. We bully our 6-year-old daughter on a daily basis because she's smarter than us. Should we go to jail?
Bully our 6-year-old daughter. Okay, so this is it's Danny DeVito and fucking Rhea Perlman and Matilda.
Do you know their names?
I don't know their names.
They are Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood. Is what I'm looking for.
Amazing. Yeah.
Correct.
And they should definitely go to jail.
They should. I think they do essentially. They end up on the run from the cops at the end.
Yeah.
What a movie. Okay. Number 9. I took all of the caviar for myself off of a communal cheese plate at a party, despite knowing full well that it was a garnish. Should I go to jail?
That's
a test.
That's a good one. All the caviar, even knowing it was a garnish. It sounds familiar. I need a hint, Joe.
Okay. This is a movie that we mentioned already on this podcast. It is a prominent rom-com of the 90s, and this is actually a test for me to see if you've actually seen it.
Oh, well, then I haven't. How many times have we mentioned it? I don't I don't. Sleepless in Seattle? Is it Sleepless? No.
It's very much adjacent to Sleepless in Seattle.
I Can't Sleep in Olympia.
Nope, not by title.
I have no idea.
Who are the stars of Sleepless in Seattle?
Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
Okay, go off of that.
Okay, you have got mail.
You have got mail. Have you seen that?
I think so, but like barely. So I don't know if it counts. That
was kind of my backdoor way of seeing if we need to cover that eventually on the podcast. Yeah, that was Tom Hanks's character in You've Got Mail, and the answer is he should go to jail for stealing the caviar off that plate.
As a garnish, like, don't you fucking dare.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I think you're like 8 for 9 on this. You're doing pretty great.
Yeah.
Last one, number 10. My loving housekeeper got up early and made probably the most delicious looking breakfast I've ever seen in one spot, and I only ate one small bite of toast before running out of the room to focus on my maniacal secret agenda to destroy a young woman's life. Should I go to jail?
She's playing Hallie, I guess, in this movie, The Parent Trap.
This is Lindsay playing Annie, playing Hallie.
Yeah, he's the dude, just disguised as the dude who's playing another dude. 100%. That was a
tricky one.
That spread looked amazing, and Chessie worked so hard on it.
God, the chocolate chip pancakes.
I know, her favorite. And just pissed them all away for a bite of toast. You fucking Brit.
Like, jail immediately.
Immediate jail.
Justin, thank you for playing. Should they go to jail? And the answer is almost always yes.
It almost is 100%.
Only on NBC.
Coming, after How to Be a Millionaire. No.
Coming soon to Paramount.
Exclusively streaming. Joe, this movie was fun, and like I said at the top, this was heightened, of course, by our friends over at Wussy Magazine for putting on such a fantastic event. It elevates the experience to an otherwise insane movie. I appreciate nostalgia for what it is. It is one of my favorite drugs, and I could feel the love and the fervor in the room from the super fans who filled the theater. It was packed. It was packed of people, and it's so cool to see at your local theater. But it was a great experience. Super cute, super silly movie. I'm not going to hide this one from my daughter when she comes of age and she like wants to watch this movie, and I'm going to be like, "Ooh, that movie." No, she can watch it because it's cute and silly, whatever. And then when she's a teenager and she's like, "Hang on a second," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I know, sweetie. Those people are fucked up." And she'll be like, "Yeah, right." And we'll just go from there.
I almost thought you were going to say when she's a teenager, you'll finally tell her about the twin that she has.
When she turns 12, yeah. I'm going to send her to summer camp for no reason, and she'll be like, "This feels really familiar." Amazing.
Okay. Justin, this wraps up our August miniseries of summer camp, summer vacation. Yeah. I think we are banking this episode for a bit, so we have a second to think through. We're not. Thank you. We have a second to think through what our September miniseries is going to be, because it is our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. And we've been throwing around some ideas that are kind of exciting. We'll finalize some stuff, but it looks like we're going to focus in on different ways to connect the movies that we talk about on a monthly basis. We've talked about like focusing on a single director or a single actor or even just like a single crew member, like someone who does the music for both films or the lighting,
the cinematography or something like that would be really cool. Just trying to open up the conversation a little bit more, which could be really cool. Not to say that we're not going to come back around to themes of the month. I'm sure we're going to come back around to Christmas movies. We're going to come back around
a spooky season.
We'll still have a spooky season, but just kind of branching out, and we're still going to try and feel how we're going to do TV and how we're going to do like other media. I don't know, books or whoever else. I don't know, but
really bringing in other types of media and dare we say guests.
Guests, yes, we'll definitely figure out what our first guest looks like. Someone who's not nuclearly related or like shares the same walls as we do. That's not to say that Ryan won't come back whenever Joe decides to gallivant off to Eastern Europe for a.
Ryan was great on the podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna have her back on. We're gonna have her back on. But yeah, so stay tuned for new exciting things. And yeah, we'll announce what we're doing very shortly hereafter.
On the Soch.
On the Soch. Check it out. Like and follow, subscribe, do all the things. We're experimenting with shorts on YouTube. Have fun with that, you know?
I did see those on YouTube. I have like deleted all social media because I'm trying to get off my phone more, so I'm on YouTube all the time. And the UCU shorts come up a lot, and I like to see them because it's my face.
I know you love looking at your face, don't you?
I'm a small child, yeah.
I know you are. Cool. Well, yeah, this was fun. This was a great mini-series summer vacation, full of the nostalgia and the good feels. And yeah, thanks for showing me The Parent Trap. I feel so fulfilled.
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, we will catch you guys on the flip flop. See you guys later.
Flippity flop. We'll have a good September.
All right. Bye.